Thank you very much. And this is the next episode of the AI Guides podcast. So I'm John Stroud, and I'm joined by my colleague, Jen. Jen, you want to say hi?
Yeah, hi, folks. Nice to be here.
And today, our guest is Mark Spera. And Mark is the co-founder of Growth Marketing Pro, along with Haley Friedman. He's from San Francisco, and I should confess right up front that I subscribe to a lot of the material that they send out. So I'm already a big fan. And I discovered their tool and loved it. And it was in the course of discussing that tool that I got connected with Mark and invited him on the show. So Mark, just wanted to say hi and welcome to the show.
Thank you, guys. Thanks for having me. Like you said, we got connected through the blog and through Growth Bar, my tool, and excited to be here today and answer some questions.
Awesome. Well, I'm going to throw the first question at you to kick things off. Could you just tell us a little bit about how you got into marketing, and then also how that led into Growth Marketing Pro?
Yes. So I actually was an entrepreneur. I still am an entrepreneur, but I came across growth marketing in like 2011 when I started an e-commerce business. So I was at the time working at Gap Inc. doing inventory management and planning, and liked my job, didn't love my job. Read a book by Yvon Chouinard called Let My People Go Surfing. He's the founder of Patagonia. And I sort of fell in love with the concept of eco-friendly commerce. So business partner who was a college buddy of mine, we started a company called Be Good in 2011. And for anybody that started an e-commerce company, you know that the second you get the thing live, you're like, wait a second, people aren't just coming to my store. Like, I need to get them to my store. And so that like kind of led me on this decade-long journey to figure out how to get people to a website and how to buy something. So that business did fine. We exited it to a small San Francisco retailer. And then I started working at technology companies. So worked first at a company called Realty Shares, which is in the real estate crowdfunding space, then onto a company called PlushCare, which is a telemedicine company that was actually just acquired this past year. I was at the real estate company like 5 years ago that I actually hired Haley. I had a job rec out for like a growth marketer, and Haley applied. She was incredible, and I could see like her talent right away. So we started working together, and about a year in, Haley was like, hey, I've got this domain, growthmarketingpro.com, that I've just been kind of squatting on. And I was like, I really like writing and have kind of written on my own a little bit here and there. And we decided we were going to start the blog, and we started writing a bunch. Blog grew. Now it gets 50,000 or more organic visitors a month. And that kind of spurred Growth Bar, which is our product and what I think we're here to talk a little bit more about.
Yeah, fantastic. But you obviously bring a great diverse background to where you are now. So great. Thank you. John.
And so Growth Bar, that's what connected us. And so we're small businesses. We're a small business. And one of the issues that we struggle with is trying to get our content ranking on Google so that people can find us. So can you tell us just how did it get to be such a complicated process to get ranked on Google, and how to approach it and how you fit into this universe?
Yes. So I think first off, a lot of people overcomplicate all of this. Like at its core, if you think about Google, they're trying to give users the best answers to their query. I mean, that's why they exist. That's why we're not going to Bing and Yahoo every day to search stuff. So when you like boil it down to that and use that as your framework, it becomes like a little simpler to see what they're doing. The other thing that happens is, of course, people, maybe I'm guilty of this too, but we like to pontificate on this stuff. And maybe there's, you see a bajillion blog posts and YouTube videos about it, and all of a sudden it looks like a really complicated, hairy thing. And it's like, again, it's not. So Google had this algorithm update, I think it was in 2015, called RankBrain. And basically, RankBrain enabled Google to better understand user queries and understand like what the like semantic intent of the user query is. So no longer could like hacky sort of placements and backlinks and stuff work. All of a sudden, like real good content was kind of rising to the top of the Google SERP, and like sort of where we are now makes it easier because of that. So again, at the end of the day, like users want to see the best content, and they want to have, see content that keeps them on page and interested in using Google. So, since that semantic kind of update, like all of a sudden things are almost a little easier. It's like, it's just about making great content and seeming authoritative in Google's eyes. So, where that led for Haley and I was starting Growth Marketing Pro, growing Growth Marketing Pro, and then like watching that over a couple of years, we were like, hey, there isn't a tool out there that's making it really easy to identify keywords that you can rank for and then actually create the content. There were a lot of tools that got you kind of half the way with doing keyword research and whatnot. But nobody really helped you kind of, get all the way over the hump to actually creating an incredible blog post that then ranks. So the emergence of OpenAI's GPT-3 kind of like opened the door for a tool like GrowthBar, and we've built on that, and ever since we've grown GrowthBar really nicely. We have now a couple thousand paid customers and growing, I think 20 or so % monthly. So the pickup has been strong so far.
How big is the company?
Company's 4.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, we have our hands full. 2 developers, Haley and I.
Wow.
Yep. We're customer support. I actually am doing some of the like very minimal coding work myself, where I'll leave that to others who are better. But like, we're doing, like any founder, we're doing everything. We're doing the customer support, we're writing the content. We're actually hiring a content manager right now, so hopefully some of that gets alleviated. But we're doing the SEO to acquire the customers, and then all the way through the customer funnel. The emails you get are coming from probably me or Haley. So yeah, we're a small business.
That's fantastic. But you also have a marketplace of people that you can connect people to. So if they don't want to write the article themselves, who are the people in the marketplace?
Yes, so that's right. That's where like most of our writing gets done today, like for Growth Marketing Pro and for GrowthBar SEO's blog as well. We have like through the years have kind of just developed a fleet of writers, and we were like, hey, we've got this audience that wants to create content, but then some of the users are like, hey, I don't have time to create the content. And they then, are asking for articles. There's a company in Canada called Contentfly that is the one that's doing this sort of at scale. They've raised a bunch of money from some big VCs too. So apparently people like the space, but they're kind of just like content as a service, and you pay a monthly subscription and you can get, up to 10,000 words a month written or something like that. So there's some interest in that space as well. It's frankly not like where we're going to hang our hat with GrowthBar. It's more nice to get working capital in the door, and we've got the resources to do it anyway. But yeah.
I'm going to pick up on one of your earlier threads where you were talking about the AI element with Google and GPT-3. And I'm wondering if you could talk about the role of AI in search optimization, but specifically to make it more interesting, do you see it as kind of like an AI versus AI situation where it's like the Google AI against your AI at GrowthBar? How do you see that playing out?
Very interesting. Yes, to some degree, I think that's the case. So GrowthBar, just to back up and explain to everybody so that it's crystal clear, GrowthBar is the tool for content teams. It helps users make Google-friendly content at scale. So it does keyword research and a few other kind of SEO functions that teams might be used to, but really like where we hang our hat is on our content generator, which the content generator, you can think of it almost as just like a text generator or a text, a Google Doc almost, where you type in a query and growth bar, using our own decision engines, as well as pulling from OpenAI's GPT-3, is able to surface natural language and then recommendations for you so that you can write the perfect blog post for that query, using the right word count, the right keywords in there, the number of images, the number of inbound links, outbound links, et cetera, et cetera. So you asked, like, is our AI going up against Google's AI? I guess kind of, not fully, because of a few things. So like AI, the way Google uses it is more of like, it is like truly learning on the fly. And it's like, we know Google, they have a lot of money and a lot of employees and a lot of smart employees, and like their AI is learning on the fly. We're doing something way simpler, and we're surfacing natural language from GPT-3, which is an AI that's very well trained. It basically, like, the way they did it is they trained it on kind of like all of the information on the web. So pulled from like Wikipedia, Common Crawl, and like a number of other resources online. And like the creators of OpenAI and GPT-3 kind of set it loose to like go understand and make connections about that data. And then surface, I think they have something like 70 billion data points in there that then help it surface natural language. So like, yes, we are using natural language to enable users to make content. Google is doing something smarter than us in that they are ingesting like all of the billions of data points out there and like constantly adjusting an algorithm. We unfortunately are not doing that yet. It is definitely in our vision to be able to take it end to end so that you as a user build a piece of content, publish that content, and then Growth Bar itself actually ingests the performance data of your content so that then we can use that to adjust future content generations and make a product that's even better. So I think at that point we'll be going a little more head to head, but right now I wish we're not quite there.
Well, it sounds like, so it makes sense because you're saying yes, we're gonna keep growing and improving. Although it also sounds like in some sense you don't need to go head to head with them because you're helping people also create great content, and Google wants people to have great content. So in that sense, you're kind of
right, exactly. Like Google doesn't penalize sites that programmatically launch thousands of pages, like a lot of the directory sites for like local search, or like thumbtack.com or like the travel sites and stuff like that have millions and millions of pages. Like Google doesn't penalize those sites for putting out all these pages that are just pulling from a bunch of data points everywhere, and like nobody's actually sitting there writing it, but Google doesn't care. I would argue that Google shouldn't care about this as long as it's factually correct and like makes sense to the end user. There have been a number of like head-to-heads of like GPT-3 generated content versus human content, and like truly, like not greater than 50% of the time can anybody tell the difference, which is really, really, really nuts. I still recommend, if you want to rank #1 and you want to be a thought leader, you're going to take that content, edit it, make it your own. But as a starting place, like OpenAI GPT-3 is incredible.
Awesome. John.
So there's the content marketing piece, but then there's also the business story that you have of you and Haley. So you're two people and not particularly from a technical background, but you get this idea that we could offer a better product if we could plug in to somebody else's AI at OpenAI. And so that's the GPT-3. How on earth do two people with your background get to partner with OpenAI? What's the story? And it's a great idea.
Thank you. So I would not say I'm technical, but we're not untechnical either.
Okay.
Like we've been working with WordPress sites for, 5-10 years now, 10 years. And WordPress, it's all built on PHP. And I sort of, my familiarity there made me want to link up with a developer who is kind of a PHP guy. So, I mean, and then, you know, for the more technical than me, it's really just taking ideas in your head and turning that into code and decisions and, you know, a user product. The way we, you know, so we could take it most of the way without OpenAI, I guess that's to say.
Okay.
And then for the like final mile there, which is this natural language generation, which is kind of like where we hang our hat now, it really came through just like networking on the internet, like so Twitter, Product Hunt, like indie hackers and stuff like it. There are so many SEO and SAS people out there, and the community is so strong that like, you know, if you stay on the cutting edge of whatever your industry is, I truly believe like you're going to be, you can like identify these like trends sort of before they take off. And like you as the entrepreneur can kind of like muscle your way in there and at least understand it. And if you know, if you understand it, it looks cool, maybe it's time to network and find the right way in. So we saw kind of like this GPT-3 thing developing in real time. We heard some rumblings about it. I think they opened like a private beta in early 2020, I want to say, and maybe it was 2019 anyway. And then we started hearing like some rumblings about it. I then started like going on, I was on their blog and like truly just, you know, learning from their blog, like somebody probably did from mine, and figured out what was going on. And I was like, wow, that is incredible. And if you just like pair that with some really good like decision making basic kind of SEO tools like keyword research, like content optimization, like, you know, growth bar counts the word count of every URL on page 1 of the Google SERP, and then identifies the optimal word count for your content. So some of that stuff like we can do ourselves, but then it's this like natural language piece that puts the two things together that makes it like a really well-rounded, incredible product that's going to save people time and money. So it was truly just by staying sort of on the cutting edge of whatever was going on in our industry. It was the way we kind of stumbled upon this. And then I guess what happened? I wanted it so badly. We applied for the private beta, they wouldn't let us in, and we were like chomping at the bit to get in. I found the CTO of OpenAI on LinkedIn. I connected with him, I think. Or no, I got a connection from a CTO that I know to him, who then sent an email saying, hey, can you, like, these guys are really good at what they do. Can you get them into the beta? Anyway, I forget what ended up happening. We like went back and forth with a couple people and they finally let us in. So we were in the beta group. We were kind of late in the beta group.
So for other entrepreneurs that are listening, it's having the great idea, and then 2, the persistence to be able to like get in as part of the beta. Any other lessons?
I really think that's it. Like you gotta like stay on your community and like learn like Twitter. I've been like late to the Twitter game. It's like really funny. Like people have been using Twitter for so long, and I always was like, like sometimes I'll get my sports updates on Twitter or whatever, but I wasn't really a power user. And just through the process of building Growth Bar over the last 2 years, like I've become such a like more adamant Twitter user. Like you just like find out stuff on there, and like there's this whole like SEO Python community who just love making like Python scripts for like SEO related queries and stuff. Like there's just all this stuff that I never really knew existed, and it's like totally opened my eyes and like keeps inspiring me and giving us ideas for how to improve Growth Bar for the user.
So keep your finger on the pulse. This is sort of
that's the message. I think that's at least the formula for us so far.
Great. All right. So so this is all getting all the wheels turning. It's very inspiring. Could you give us a few client stories about clients who are using your tool themselves through the marketplace and how they're using it and what exciting things they're doing with it?
Yeah. So we have, like I said, a couple thousand Growth Bar users now. Have a couple of really cool companies using it. You can check out the logos on the Growth Bar homepage. But for our users, like, and I'm doing user interviews pretty much every other day at this point. For all of them, the complaints are the same. It's the cost of the big SEO tools like SEMrush and Ahrefs that are, you know, they're going to end up costing you $200 a month or more. And then it's the the speed of actually using those insights and completing the project, that's really, really burdensome. So like you can do all the keyword research you want in SEMrush, but then when push comes to shove, what do you do next? Like you've got to write the article or create the content, and GrowthBar does that end to end. So we're finding that that's definitely the problem we're solving for people. And we're also solving it for people who don't necessarily have deep SEO experience. What we're finding is like content is becoming even more of a thing, especially I think post-COVID, like people are spending more time in front of their computers, and which is crazy, but like, you know, there are more content jobs out there, more like head of content, writer, like that sort of job at like all these companies, because they're seeing the value of SEO, that like not every person who's coming in the door is like an SEO expert or anything like that. A lot of people know the basics, and usually that's fine. And frankly, the rest of it is just writing great content after that. So like, why wouldn't there be a tool that helps you both prioritize and research, and then also write the content end to end? The next stuff that we're working on, though, that's going to be like really cool with GrowthBar. And it's funny, we were talking about this right before we hopped on the chat here. It's like when GrowthBar can now help you identify keywords that are going to be trending and emerging. Because no other tool is doing that either. Like right now, we want to perfect the content generator and get this thing like to be absolutely perfect so that you can produce great blog content in like a half hour. I mean, that's the goal, is produce a blog post in a half hour. We want to make it now so that you're doing that even smarter. So you're not just doing keyword research, looking at, you know, what keyword has the most search volume, what keyword's the most or least competitive. We also want to identify keywords as they're sort of emerging. So I think that's the next way that we want to use GrowthBar, and we know that we're going to be able to show value to customers that way, and they'll you know, keep coming back to the well because of it. So yeah, that's sort of where we're going.
Yeah, so you can say this is taking off.
Exactly,
yeah,
which is like, yeah, a missing piece of the whole equation.
Awesome.
Yeah, for sure. And as someone who's spent a lot of time on this, I would absolutely appreciate that, and being able to figure out where to concentrate effort. So over the next 3 years, besides that, is there anything else on your plans? Like, where do you see the company 3 years from now?
Yeah, I think, I mean, the two main things for us are AI content generation and keyword research, and identifying those trends. So like on the content generation side of things, we are far along, but we still have a ways to go on, you know, what ends up happening for a lot of this. So we're scraping the Google search engine results page and surfacing results that way, so that you know what to write for a blog post. And you'll see, for any of the listeners, if they download GrowthBar, you're going to see like there's a toolbar at the top that tells you your post is 40% optimized or 50% optimized. That's coming from like a number of ranking factors that we have programmed in. And then it's also going to pull natural language for you and actually write paragraphs for you using GPT-3. Combining those two things is sort of the next frontier too, because like right now they sort of live in a silo a little bit. But imagine if your content is now informed by like the length of sentences that we identify should be used in a blog post for X query, or if it's mapping like common headlines, which then feeds into GPT-3 and allows, well, actually to be the other, and which would then allow you to surface content via GPT-3 that takes some of those inputs already. So I think refining the content generator, keyword research we spoke about a little bit, and where that's going to go. And then, you know, for we're going to serve small businesses. I think small and medium-sized businesses are where AI is really going to help business owners win. My hypothesis is that, like, yes, big companies like Facebook will win with AI, and they'll continue tweaking their algorithms and doing all sorts of sketchy things, and they'll go on their merry way. But like for like the e-commerce entrepreneur, for example, like those folks, you know, they have hundreds of products coming in the door. They need to write a product description for all of them. They need to like have a CRM that's intelligent and can email customers who are in market to buy right now. So like all of those things, and then of course content writing with Growth Bar, all of those things can be like really simplified with AI and alleviate some of the like burden of doing that stuff manually.
Yeah, and that's a theme that we return to over and over again, is the idea of augmented intelligence. So people plus AI, and you try to find that partnership. We talk about the AI being like a member of your team, and especially if they can do the parts of the job that you're not particularly interested in doing. And like coming up with 65 versions of a product description, I mean, that's just hard to do for a person, but AI can tackle that much more easily.
Yes.
Yeah.
Like no code. I don't know how you guys feel about like no code app builders and stuff right now, but like I'm really bullish on that space because it's the same sort of thing. Like I really enjoy learning to code. I'm like, again, not proficient enough, but like had a no code app builder been around like 3 years ago or something, like could we have built Growth Bar differently? I don't know, maybe. And like, would we have saved ourselves a lot of headache? Like, you know, finding the right engineers and like doing this whole thing? Maybe. I don't know, but it is an interesting space.
It's a very interesting space, and it's a great one to bring up because another thing we often talk about is the democratization of a lot of these technologies. And I definitely think that the no code space is going to be a positive force in that space. So it's great that you brought that up. But, yeah.
I think so.
Yeah. So I think John, do you have any other questions, or should we ask I can ask the silly question.
Sure.
Okay. So our silly question is, if you yourself could have your own personal AI robot, what would you wish for?
What would it do?
Yeah.
I would love, I still struggle with to-do lists, believe it or not. Like a lot of people like Trello boards and Jira and all this stuff, and it's still too structured for me. Like I still like, I take notes in my phone. I use the stupid notes app on the desk, on like the Mac desktop, whatever the notes, what is it called? It's notes. And like, it's just because I don't have to like go to a website or anything. I can just log in and like type the thing before it like leaves my head, and then I can like make sure I get to it later. But like, there's got to be some way that I can just speak into something and it like goes into a list, and like I can come back to it later, kind of in that way. Like, because the Jiras and the Trellos don't work in my workflow.
Right. Who can say, hey, you put that on your list. You haven't done it in a few weeks.
You haven't,
and
right.
Tap
like,
you on the shoulder. Right?
Alert me. Yeah. So something like that, I think, could be really interesting.
Very nice.
So we create a landing page that we say we have this new product, and then we start writing some articles on it to see if we can generate some traffic to it. And then, Jen, we go build it.
That's the MVP.
Then we sell it to Mark.
I like it.
That's
it. Good. It's a plan. All right.
That's the MVP. I like that. Yeah.
Okay. Super.
Awesome.
Super appreciate you taking the time. We were already sold on the product, and we even love your story more. So it's really inspirational about how the two of you came up with this idea and started using AI. And so I think a lot of people can learn from you. So I'm really happy to share the story and really appreciate you taking the time.
Thank you, guys. I really appreciate you reaching out. And to any of the listeners out there, always reach out to me. I'm Mark at growthmarketingpro.com. Growth Bar is an incredible tool. I want every entrepreneur and SEO and content writer out there to use it. So please hit me up. I'm there to answer questions all day.
And he really does answer the questions. So I can vouch for that. Thanks so much. And really appreciate the time. So cheers.
All right, guys.
Bye.